How? Honestly, how is it already time for the mid-year book freakout tag? That's right, it is currently the 26th of June, which means that we're nearly halfway through the year, which means that it is time for the book freakout tag, mid-year book freakout tag. I'm pretty sure we are all familiar with the concept of the mid-year book freakout tag. Basically, we're just going to look at the previous 6 months and just answer some questions about the books that we read. So I have the questions right here, and let's just talk about some books. The first one is quite an obvious one. What is your favorite book that you read in the first half of the year? So I'm gonna pick 2 actually, one non-fiction and one fiction book. The non-fiction book is called The Radium Girls. This is all about the girls that used to work in factories where they use radium paint to dial, or like to paint like the dials on watches, so they kind of like glow in the dark, you know? And this is about how these girls were basically poisoned because of the radium and how they went to court for it because it affected their health. It even killed some of them. It did the most horrific things to their bodies. Sickening to think about the fact that radium is incredibly poisonous, and some people knew back then, but they just chose to keep that information from these innocent girls working in these factories. So this book was all about the women who fought for justice. They went to court, they went through so much trouble to fight for justice, and it was so good. And just, as I said before, it was sickening to read. It made me so angry, but it was just so interesting as well. It is quite a long one. I listened to it on audiobook, and I highly recommend you do that too. It was a great audiobook. It was just very long, and sometimes I felt like we had it all, like I've read it all already, but then there was constantly just new information and just new things that were added to the story that happened to them. I highly recommend it. It was so good. And my next favorite, this is a fiction book, is Punching the Air. This story is all about a 16-year-old black boy named Amal who is wrongfully convicted of a crime, and he has to go to jail for that. Or actually prison. I believe that's like a difference between jail and prison, but he has to go to prison for a crime he didn't commit. And of course it is an incredibly shocking experience for him because he is innocent, but he chooses to kind of transform his anger, or using his art, because he's an artist, to kind of transform his anger and to kind of live through his art and to make sure that he will be okay and find comfort in, you know, creating art. The reason I thought this book was so brilliant, I listened to it in an audiobook by the way, is that it was written very lyrically, and the writing style was just phenomenal. It was quite short because I believe it's like written in verse, so if you have the physical copy, it is quite short. It was so beautiful, but it also made me so angry because of like this injustice that was happening to Amal, and it was just amazing, so good. So again, if you haven't read that one yet, highly recommend it on audiobook as well. It's so great. The next question is your favorite sequel. That is Wunderschmidt, the next, or like the second book in the Nevermore series, The Adventures of Morgan Crow Adventures. Oh, The Calling of Morgan Crow. The Calling, Wunderschmidt, The Calling of Morgan Crow. So as I said, this is the second book in the Nevermore series. I will talk about the first one a bit because otherwise I will spoil things, but if you don't know Nevermore is a middle grade book series that follows this girl named Morgan Crow. And Morgan Crow is sort of cursed. She was supposed to die before her 11th birthday, but then something like happened and she's going to this kind of magical academy, and she has to do these trials, and it's just very magical and whimsical, and I loved it. And the second book was amazing as well. I think I like the second one more. I don't really know but I just love them both so much. So if you're just looking for a very fun, magical and funny middle grade story with amazing characters, the characters are just amazing, highly recommend the Nevermore series. It's just so, it warms my heart. The next question is a new release that you have yet to read, and that one is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is his newest sci-fi book. I loved The Martian by Andy Weir, and this is his newest sci-fi book, and I've heard amazing things about it. And this is about a man who is finding himself on this planet in space with no one else, and he has to like go on this adventure and save planet Earth, because otherwise everyone will die. So everyone's life kind of depends on him and his like adventure that he has to do to save the human race. It is said to be a very adventurous and amazing sci-fi story. I am so excited to read it. So I will definitely keep you updated if I do. Not if I do, when I do. The next question is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And I have to be honest with you, I have no clue. I don't keep track of new releases besides like Erin Morgenson or Taylor Jenkins Reid. But that's it. I have zero clue about books that are being released in the second half of the year. Let me know in the comments if you're also a person who just doesn't focus on new releases. I personally get very overwhelmed by all of these new releases, so I just don't pay attention to them. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you're also like me, or if you know all of the new releases that are coming and also like keep lists and something. I'm very curious. Question 5 is your biggest disappointment. And funnily enough, that is also a book by Andy Weir, namely Artemis. This is his second sci-fi book. Okay, like, it's not really disappointing because I already expected it to not be great, but the fact that it was so disappointing was disappointing. So basically, this is a story that takes place on the moon, and we follow this woman, I believe she's like 25, something like that, and she kind of has to do this heist. And the premise itself and the plot sounded really cool, but the thing is, the main character was just crap. I hate the way that she was written. As I've said a million times before in all of my previous videos where I talked about this book, it felt like a bunch of guys wrote this stereotypical female character who is just very sexy, likes to drink lots of beer and whiskey and have lots of sex, and it just felt so like one-dimensional, and I did not enjoy reading from her point of view whatsoever. So that was just a very big disappointment. As I said, the plot itself was quite fun, but if I'm not connecting to the main character, just no. Question 6 is your biggest surprise of this year, and that is Hold Back the Tide. So I once got this book in a subscription box a long time ago. I never really had the intention of picking it up anytime soon, but then one day I was just looking for a standalone short fantasy book, and then I remembered I had this one on my shelf. This is basically a story that takes place, I believe it's like inspired by Scotland, because they live near these lakes or like these lochs, and it's basically about something happening in this town where our main character lives. I have to say I forgot a lot, but like creepy things are happening and we're going on this adventure of discovering what exactly is happening. The reason I thought this was such a surprising read, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, is that this was everything that I want in a short fantasy standalone book. It had suspense, I was feeling for the characters, I was rooting for them. I loved the plot twists, it was just so amazing. So if you're looking for a short fantasy standalone, pick up this book. I thought it was just so much fun and I flew through it. It was so great and definitely my biggest surprise of the year. Then your favorite new author. This could either be a debut author or just an author that is new to you, and I'm going with Maria Kuzniar. I don't know if she wrote more books, but the book that I read from her was called The Ship of Magic? Oh my god, I forgot. Oh. Not Ship of Magic, that's Robin Hobb. The Ship of Shadows. Ship of Magic is also on my TBR, but no, The Ship of Shadows. It is a middle grade story and it follows this little girl who is going on a pirate ship, and all the pirates are women, and basically she's going on this adventure with all of these cool women and it's about pirates, and it's middle grade, and it was cute and it was funny and it was just like, I loved it so much. I thought the characters were great, the story was so entertaining, and I just love a good middle grade once in a while. So yes, I am super excited to read more of her books. I believe the second one in this pirate series is already out or will be released. If it will be released, that is my most anticipated release. But I don't know if it's already out. As I said, I'm really bad with releases and stuff. But yeah, I really loved her book and I can't wait to read more of her books, especially if they're like middle grade books about pirates. Heck yeah. Question 8 is your newest fictional crush, and I have to say I have none. I crush more easily on people that I can see in films because I'm very bad at visualizing characters in my head, and I just like to see how people look, how they move, how, you know, their faces move, their body language. I like to see that, and the fact that I just can't visualize it in my head when it comes to characters. Question 9 is your new favorite character, and I'm going to go with Nina Riva from Malibu Rising. This is Taylor Jenkins Reid's newest book, and it takes place in Malibu in the 80s, and we follow Nina Riva, who is the daughter of Mick Riva, who is this rock star. He was featured in Daisy Jones and the Six, as well as Evelyn Hugo, and Nina Riva is his daughter, and she is amazing. I love her so much. She is so caring. She has such a big heart. She is smart, she's funny, and I just absolutely loved her. So yes, she's definitely my new favorite character from just these past 6 months. Question 10 is a book that made you cry. I can't really remember if a book like properly made me cry, but I remember one where I could definitely feel something, and it was very, very emotional, and it was called The Stationery Shop. This was a very beautiful story. It's a historical fiction that takes place like a long time ago in, I believe, the 50s in Iran, as well as in the present day, and this is a love story, and you follow these two characters who met in the 50s, and they were supposed to get married, but then on their day of the wedding or something like that, he didn't show up, and she was just looking for answers. Why didn't he show up? Why doesn't he want to marry me? But they both, you know, went on with their lives because life goes on. But then later on in life, in present day, they have the opportunity to meet again and ask for answers. And it was so just beautiful and so sad, and oh, it was such a good book. So if you haven't read The Stationery Shop yet, I also listened to this on audiobook on Script, and if it's still on Script, I actually have a link in the description where you can try out Script for like 2 months. This is not sponsored or anything, but I just love Script, and every time you use this link to sign up for like a free trial, you can just cancel anytime. I also get a free month, so it's like a win-win situation for the both of us, and it was on there, so maybe the audiobook is still on Script. It was so good, and it definitely made me very emotional in the end. The next one, a book that made you happy, and I'm gonna go with Heartstopper Volume 4. This is Alice Oseman's newest edition, like installment in the Heartstopper graphic novels. And if you don't know, Heartstopper is this amazing graphic novel series that follows Nick and Charlie. It is completely LGBTQIA+. There is so much representation, there is so much love, friendship. Oh, it's so heartwarming, and every time I read these graphic novels, you can literally read them within a day, easily, within like an hour or so even. They make me so happy. These characters are just, I want to be friends with all these characters. They are amazing, and they always make me just love and make me so happy. And I just read that like the 5th installment that is coming maybe next year will be the last one in the Heartstopper series, and I'm really sad because I want more of Nick and Charlie. But I can't wait for the TV show, oh my god. Question 12 is the most beautiful book that you bought this year. For this one, I'm going to go with this beautiful book. It's called Utopia Avenue by David Mitchells. And a friend of mine recommended me this book because she knows that I absolutely love like Daisy Jones, 60s, 70s. And this actually also is about a band, a British band actually in the 1960s. And look at this cover, it is so freaking cool. I think it is amazing. You see some vinyl records and just all the colors. Oh, I'm obsessed. It is so beautiful. It is big. It's gorgeous. So yeah, this is definitely the most beautiful book. I have not read it yet, but it is on my summer TBR. And then the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Okay, well, I have a long list of books that I really hope to finish by the end of, start and finish by the end of the year. Priority Orange Tree, The Ship of Magic, The Maidens, Utopia Avenue, Pachinko, The Memory Police. My god, so many more. I have so many books that are just like I'm dying to read, but I'm in a reading slump still, and we still have 6 months to go. So you know what? Maybe it will happen. But this was the mid-year book freakout tag. I just love looking back at all the books that I've already read this year. I've already read 55 books, which is the best reading year I have had ever as of now. So fingers crossed that I can just read more amazing books this year. I already just read so many amazing books, and I'm so grateful for beautiful and amazing books. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you liked this video. If you want to comment something but you don't know what to comment one of these screaming emojis, the one that go like oh, because it is just insane that it is already nearly July. Like by the time you're watching it, it's probably already July. Where has the time gone? So yeah, comment one of these emojis if you just want to comment something and show me your support. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And of course, you can also follow me on my social media and on my Patreon page. I always link everything down below in the description so you can check it out. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you're having a beautiful day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!